Joining me on the platform at this point in time is Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat. Also joining us on the show is Amber Zaidi, women activist. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, defense expert, Impar Media panelist, is also here with us. Last but by no means the least, Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, is also joining us on this all-important conversation. Ali, there are 20 crores plus minorities in India, and the kind of atmosphere that is being provided in India for them to prosper and prevail is perhaps, incomparable to what you would perhaps get to see in a Saudi Arabia or a Kuwait or a Qatar. Do you think that there should be more support for India when such a thing happens from the minorities as well? Because had they been living in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or Afghanistan, they wouldn't even be allowed this much.
Vineet, as far as my knowledge goes, and what I perceive and what I think is as the minorities in India, I come from the minority community, we do not support these countries who are trying to browbeat India. No, not at all, not one bit. My advice to nations like Pakistan, Shah Mahmud Qureshi, their foreign minister, who did not go to Afghanistan when the tribal crisis was on, rather sent the ISI chief instead. Let me tell you, he was the first one to jump up and tweet against on India, on the Karnataka issue. Well, having said what's happening
but Ali, the counter question I want to ask you is that aren't people like Rana Ayub influencing the minority community, the Muslim community in India, which predominantly is also uneducated? And if people like Rana Ayub are going to say all these things against the government, it is not going to bode well for the unity and prosperity of India.
Well, on your show, there are two people from the minority community, Amber Zaidi and Major Mohammed Ali Shah. And I can vouch for the fact that neither Amber Zaidi or I are influenced by Rana Ayub over here. So, I think that answers your question.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here, Ali.
I generally believe what this left liberals try to provocate people, and they say on record, on TV, that hijab is essential to Islam, burqa is essential to Islam, and
burqa certainly is not
banned in India.
Amber,
that is the question.
Just yesterday we had this very interesting discussion, when I was quoting verses and chapters from the Quran, when I was quoting the articles from the Constitution of India, and at that time...
Ali, yesterday you were a part of my show and I categorically asked you, is the hijab part, is it an essential part of a Muslim tradition? It is this confusion. I think every religious text, Ali, has been devised and formulated to make us into good human beings. And Ali, last comments from you. How can we forget what happens at airports when you get to Europe, when you get to the Americas? When you get to Europe, you have to disrobe. If you are wearing a burqa or a hijab, you have to take it off. And that is something which is okay by a lot of people. I wonder, why does this hypocrisy only kick in when we are talking about India?
Well, Vineet, I'll come to that, but I'm certain of the fact that even the ladies on your panel will agree with me when I say that a woman who decides to work by choice is empowered. A woman who decides not to work, to stay at home and be a good housewife, is also empowered, provided she's doing it by choice, by her own choice. No one's imposing it on her, no one's telling her, you will not work. It's her decision, so she's empowered. A woman who wears a niqab on her own, or a hijab on her own will, is empowered, provided no one has imposed it on her. And progressive and regressive is not through the attire. Progressive and regressive is in the mind over here.
Thank you everyone for being a part of this wonderful conversation.